She had 18 minutes to save 240 lives. Her co-pilot had frozen. They had called her too emotional for this job. But at that moment, at 35,000 feet with both engines gone, Captain Sarah Mitchell wasn't emotional. She was the only pilot left standing. Sarah Mitchell's aviation career began 12 years ago. In flight school, male students didn't take her seriously. One instructor had told her bluntly, "Women make emotional decisions. In the cockpit, that kills you." Sarah had listened in silence. Then she graduated top of her class. Years passed. Sarah moved to commercial aviation. She started flying A320s for Horizon Airlines. She was experienced, certified, and passed every check ride perfectly. But still, some male pilots looked down on her. "Female captains panic in high-pressure situations," they'd say in the briefing room. Sarah heard them, but she didn't respond, because she would answer them in the air. March 15th, 2024, Friday. Sarah was captain of Horizon Airlines Flight 2819, New York to Los Angeles, 240 passengers, routine flight. Her first officer was Jake Morrison, 28 years old, young, talented, but inexperienced. This was only his second year, and Jake wasn't happy working with a female captain. Sarah knew it. "I'll take the takeoff today," Jake said, as if doing Sarah a favor. Sarah smiled. "Sure, you take takeoff, I'll handle landing." The plane departed JFK without issues. Weather was clear. Everything was going according to plan. Sarah monitored systems while Jake engaged autopilot. "Should be a smooth flight," Jake said. "Maybe you can rest a bit, Captain." Sarah looked at him. There was a slight mockery in his tone, but Sarah didn't respond. She just smiled and did exactly that. "Thanks, Jake. I'm right here, don't worry." The flight had lasted 2 hours and 15 minutes. They were passing over Ohio, 35,000 feet altitude above the clouds. Passengers were eating, children watching movies. A peaceful flight. Then a sound came. Beep, beep, beep. Sarah immediately focused on the systems. Engine 1 warning, temperature rising. "Jake, check engine 1, Sarah said calmly. Jake looked at the panels. "There's a temperature anomaly, but not at critical level." Sarah initiated procedures, reduced engine power, checked cooling system. Engine temperature dropped, returned to normal. "Fixed it," Jake said with a relieved expression. Small problem. But Sarah didn't relax, because her 12 years of experience told her something. This was just the beginning. 10 minutes later, everything changed. Bang! The aircraft shook. Red warning lights filled the cockpit. Alarm sounds exploded. "Engine 1, failure! Engine 1, failure!" Engine 1 had completely shut down. "Damn!" Jake said. His hands were shaking. Sarah's heart started racing, but her voice was calm. "Jake, shut down engine 1. Start a PU. Execute emergency procedures." Jake tried to execute commands, but his hands were shaking. He pressed the wrong button. "No, not that one," Sarah said. "Left side, blue button." Jake corrected it. Engine 1 completely shut down. The aircraft started flying on one engine. This was dangerous, but manageable. A 320S could fly on one engine. "Okay," Sarah said. "Let's calm down. We have one engine, but it's enough. We're diverting to nearest airport. Emergency landing in Denver." Jake nodded, still in shock, but recovering. Sarah notified air traffic control. "Denver ATC, this is Horizon 2819. We're experiencing engine failure. Requesting emergency landing." "Horizon 2819, understood. Runway 16R ready, proceed direct." Everything was under control. Sarah took a relieved breath. Then the second explosion came. Boom! The aircraft shook again, this time more violently. "Engine 2, failure! Engine 2, failure!" Engine 2 was gone too. They had no engines. Jake froze. His eyes locked on the panel. His hands were frozen. He couldn't speak. "Jake!" Sarah said in a sharp voice. "Jake, look at me!" Jake turned. His face was white. "Both engines gone. We're falling." "No," Sarah said sharply but calmly. "We're a glider. But we still have control. Jake, listen to me. You're going to read the checklist. I'm managing controls. Understood?" Jake nodded, but his hands were still shaking. Sarah gave him a simple task. "Emergency descent checklist. Read it to me, step by step." Jake took the checklist. His voice was shaking, but he started reading. This kept him busy, focused. Sarah was now alone on the controls, with 240 passengers, no engines, at 35,000 feet, and she had 18 minutes. Sarah took a deep breath, then focused. First priority, altitude. An aircraft without engines was falling, but in a controlled manner. Sarah knew the aircraft's glide ratio. For every 1,000 feet of altitude, approximately 3 miles of distance, they were at 35,000 feet, so approximately 105 miles of glide capability. Denver Airport was 87 miles away. "I can do this," Sarah murmured, "but my margin is very small." Second priority, speed. Too slow and she'd stall and drop. Too fast and she'd lose control. Optimal glide speed, 220 knots. Sarah adjusted the pitch angle, stabilized speed, 220 knots. Third priority, power. The APU, auxiliary power unit, was still running. This provided power to hydraulics and controls, but the APU's power was limited. It couldn't run all systems. Sarah shut down all non-essential systems, cabin lights, entertainment systems, everything. Only vital systems remained. Fourth priority, route. Sarah looked at GPS. Denver 87 miles, but wind was against them. Wind was slowing them down. "Damn," Sarah whispered, "my margin just got smaller." But she didn't give up. She optimized the route. Choose the path with least wind resistance. Sarah notified air traffic control again. "Denver ATC, Atlantic 2819. We've lost both engines completely. We're in glider mode. ETA 18 minutes. Proceeding direct to runway 16R. The controller's tone changed, now serious. "Atlantic 2819. Understood. We're clearing all air traffic. Fire trucks and ambulances ready. Good luck with the landing, Captain." "Thank you," Sarah said. The aircraft was silent. No engines, so no familiar rumble. Just the sound of wind and Sarah's own breathing. Altitude, 28,000 feet. Distance, 70 miles. Altitude, 22,000 feet. Distance, 55 miles. Sarah was calculating every second, adjusting pitch angle, maintaining speed. Her eyes never left the panels. In the rear cabin, passengers weren't panicking, because the cabin crew had calmed them. Jake was helping. Passengers didn't know the aircraft was gliding without engines. Altitude, 15,000 feet. Distance, 35 miles. Sarah rechecked runway coordinates. Everything was correct. But there was a problem. Speed was slightly high. If she landed at this speed, she might not be able to stop on the runway. Sarah opened flaps slightly. Air resistance increased. Speed decreased. 210 knots. "Good," Sarah murmured. "Keep going." Altitude, 10,000 feet. Distance, 20 miles. Denver Airport started becoming visible. Far, but it was there. Altitude, 5,000 feet. Distance, 10 miles. Sarah continued procedures. She was opening flaps gradually. Each stage meant more air resistance, but more control. Altitude, 3,000 feet. Distance, 5 miles. The runway was now clearly visible. Fire trucks, ambulances, all emergency services ready. Altitude, 2,500 feet. Distance, 3 miles. Now was landing gear time. Sarah deployed the landing gear. Wheels came down. This significantly increased air resistance and reduced speed. But it also accelerated altitude loss, Sarah calculated. Altitude would just be enough, but margin was only a few hundred feet. "Okay, Sarah," she said to herself. "Stay calm. You've done this thousands of times, just without engines." Altitude, 1,500 feet. Distance, 2 miles. Sarah opened flaps fully. Aircraft slowed, 155 knots. Altitude, 500 feet. Distance, 0.5 miles. "Come on," Sarah whispered. "Come on, girl, you can do this." Altitude, 200 feet. The runway was in front of her eyes. Aircraft descending. Altitude, 50 feet. Sarah pulled the control column back slightly. Aircraft nose pitched up slightly. Flare maneuver. Descent rate slowed. Altitude, 10 feet. Thump. Wheels touched the runway. Aircraft landed. Sarah immediately deployed spoilers fully. Brake panels on top of wings rose up, maximizing air resistance. She couldn't use reverse thrust because engines were gone, only spoilers and brakes. Sarah pressed brake pedals with maximum force. Wheels burned. Smoke rose. Aircraft slowed rapidly. 150 knots, 100 knots, 50 knots, and stopped. just 80 meters before the end of the runway. Sarah took a breath and smiled. We're on the ground. Aircraft doors opened. Passengers evacuated down emergency slides. Nobody was injured. Everyone was safe. Fire crews surrounded the aircraft, but there was no fire, just smoke. Engines had cooled. Sarah exited the cockpit. Her legs were shaking, adrenaline still high. Cabin crew hugged her. Jake came to her. His eyes were wet. "Captain, forgive me," Jake said. I froze. I left you alone." Sarah looked at him, then squeezed his shoulder. "Jake, you helped the passengers. That was important too. We're all a team." But Jake knew. Sarah had landed that aircraft alone, without engines, like a glider. She had saved 240 lives. At Horizon Airlines headquarters, Sarah attended an award ceremony. The CEO approached the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "today we're here to honor an extraordinary pilot. Captain Sarah Mitchell safely landed Flight 2819 after dual engine failure. She saved 240 lives, and she accomplished a first in aviation history, landing an A320 completely engineless as a glider with a perfect touchdown." The room stood. Applause erupted. Sarah walked to the stage, received her award, and leaned into the microphone. "Thank you," she said. "But this isn't just my achievement. This is the achievement of everyone who told me women can't do this job. Because they taught me to work harder, be better, and never give up." The room applauded again. Sarah smiled and added, "And yes, women are emotional." I was scared in that cockpit, but I controlled the fear. Because training, experience, and determination are stronger than fear. Sarah Mitchell still flies today, but now nobody tells her women can't do this job, because she did what they said she couldn't, and she did it perfectly.